Good morning, good morning. It is Sunday, the 10th of September, and here I am. God, has it been a year? Yes, it has. It's been a year since the Kenilworth Half Marathon, and here I am again in the grounds of the castle. Sad news this morning, to be quite honest with you. On the journey in, bear in mind it was rural, I saw 9 dead squirrels. Flat as a pancake. No one likes going back to school, do they? But autumn's their time, isn't it? Like, you know, collecting your old nuts. You know, surely it's the most exciting time of year. It's like their Christmas. Maybe that's part of it. Maybe it's the pressure. High suicide rates amongst squirrels. The pressure to collect more nuts than your contemporaries. A bit like working in sales, I suppose. Anyway, this race was my number 1 race last year. Right, when I did my reviews at the end of the year, Kenilworth came out as number 1. Now, no disrespect to Kenilworth whatsoever, but I cannot remember why. Genuinely, I can't remember why. So, this race, a bit like Solihull really, in reverse, that had worst spot. This is all about convincing myself why Kenilworth came out number 1. Now, last week as I ran around the Wye Valley, I recited, as ever, a bit of Wordsworth. You know I like poetry. I was stunned, to be honest, stunned, when a friend of mine, a young lady by the name of Claire, she knows who she is, commented in the chat, great poem recital, how about you find a female poet next time? Now, I know what she's saying. There's an undertone there. There's some subtext. Is MARM simply a sexist dinosaur who should be working for the Spanish FA? Not a bit of it. No way. I went to see the Barbie film in the summer. Actually, I cried in that Barbie film, to be quite honest with you. The film was a mess. But, female poet, you are joking, aren't you? We are in the home of Elizabethan splendour, right? This was the very castle that Robert Lord Dudley entertained Queen Elizabeth I, one of our most famous and prominent women. And as such, I have decided to focus today on poet Isabella Whitney. Now, if you want to do your research, Claire, think you'll probably find that Isabella Whitney was indeed the first person to publish secular poetry in the United Kingdom. The time has come, I must depart from thee, our famous city. I never yet to rue my smart did find that thou hast pity. Wherefore small cause there is that I should grieve from thee to go. But many women, foolishly, like me and other mo, do such a fixed fancy set on those which least deserve, that long it is ere wit we get away from them to swerve. But time with pity oft will tell to those that will her try, whether it is best to mell or utterly defy. I am firmly with you, sisters. What you want? Baby, I got it. There's a mocking tone to that, which is unplanned. Just angry. Can we have a female poet next time? You can have as many as you like. As many as you like, not a problem. I get a lot of comments from marmers, which I love and always respond to, in which people say, oh, I saw you filming, and I say, oh, come and say hello. I don't mean it, but and people have said, look, I'll see you at Kenilworth, I'm going to come over today. The issue is like many people who make friends online, which actually is not as sinister as it sounds, you don't know what people look like. So I've found at a lot of these races recently, unless it's my imagination and delusions of grandeur, I've kind of sort of looked at people and grinned. It's a bit like being on a date, computer, not that I have. But yeah, it's a bit like being on a computer date. You don't really know the person because people don't, online, very often use their real pictures. I mean, to be fair, some of you marmers could very well be online predators. Awful lot of people limbering up, right, and they've all got race numbers on. And one came past and I thought, shall I go for it? And I did. And I said, oh, hasn't started yet, has it, mate? It was the look I got. Total disdain. Look, I don't very often talk about running on this running channel, but the one thing I would say to you is avoid excessive and unnecessary warm-ups. Just stresses you out, and I have found that it doesn't necessarily do you a huge amount of good, but that's just me.
So I'll have you off. I wish everyone a really, really good race today. I say be a really...
Can get you. There we go, there we go, there we go. We're in business. Right, and we're off. We are off. What we're going to do is, what time are you after, mate?
Oh, 1:25 would be great.
1:20. Bloody hell, right, okay. Go into. Right, okay, 1:25. Now, if you're watching Warwick, this is how to do a half marathon. Actually permitted into the castle. I don't want to go on any of the attractions. I just want to have a nose. I asked that question, didn't I? Why is this number one? And already, I don't know, it just feels really laid back. And key to it was that there was a 10k or something going on at the start. I thought, here we go again. Expertly managed. Let them go off first. They go a different route. Cones easily on a wide enough road. And that was that, all done. And it just feels like they're a really well organised running club. Everyone comes out to support. Right, now, exactly the same as last year. Right, guy in front is a Kenilworth runner. He got the clap equivalent of Local Hero by Martin Offler. Right, I got 2 half-hearted fade-out claps. Not good enough, Kenilworth. Now, we're coming back down the way we came, and you've got some other half-marathon runners on the other side. Right, but the road is wide enough. The only hassle we've had, cyclists. We'll decide if the road's closed. Not for us. Not for us. Come on through, boys. We've got to be relaying at 12. Unbelievable. Oh, a hose pipe. Class. Oh, a bit of fun for the kids. Coming up to the end. Ah! There she is! Oh, the banners! Yeah! Well, that, from my friend Gemma and the wonderful Ava, beats the Kenilworth applause. Hands down.
Almost there.
Well done, Marmy Army.
Legend, thank you. Thank you. I haven't looked at my time yet. I know, thank you. Haven't looked at my time yet. 1:25. 1:25. I'm delighted with that. Alright, I'm going to go and see my friend. Nothing I have seen since has been better than that. Genuinely. I think that's excellent. And here they are. Look at that. A cheer squad that would put anybody to shame. Thank you, ladies. You're going to have to go something to knock Kenilworth off my number one spot, I've got to say. It is so well organised. The marshals, there's so many of them, there's so many water stations, there's some lovely people at the end who organised it, really friendly. And there are some good runners in this race. I think it's one of those that's sort of like quite famous in the running community. There's a lot of people from Kenilworth runners, a lot of people from Spa Striders. There's some really good runners in this who clearly know a good race when they see one. This year, a freebie bag, Alpen bar and a banana, and actually a really nice kind of slate medal. Now last year I got a long sleeve t-shirt. To be honest, I think margins must be so fine now for all running races. I think most races now charge you extra. Burping on my apple there, and if I'm being really honest, I think that's fair enough. I think that's quite fair enough. I have to say, actually, it's one part about MARM this year, and you know, I've kind of made out that I've got social anxiety, and I kind of have, but I think part of that is because I feel, and I've always felt like a bit of a prat recording myself and talking to the camera as I walk along now. As I start to get over that, I'm starting to talk to more and more people, and I've met some cracking people this morning. There's a guy who I spoke to at the start, and I'm hoping he makes himself known, a tall guy in an orange shirt. I didn't record him, but he was going for around about 150, and if you're watching this, mate, make yourself known. I'd love to know how you got on. And good friend of mine, Rich, who I think I first met at the Compton Half Marathon a couple of years ago. I had a chat to Rich at the start. He's probably on the video, who I've just been chatting to now. Cracking bloke, good runner, and really nice to speak to him at the end as well. So as we leave behind the fabulous and beautiful Kenilworth Castle, so reminiscent of the wonderful poetry of Isabella Whitney, it was fitting perhaps at the end that two formidable women were there to greet me and to support me. My lovely friend Gemma Hobbs and the fabulous Ava Hobbs there. Thank you so much for your support, sisters. So as we leave behind the beautiful setting of Kenilworth, it's time for me to say I'll see you next week in Northampton, which is slightly different. See you next week. For all those people who have stayed right until the very end, I've got a little treat for you. Many of you have been marmers for some time will remember that a couple of years ago I was inadvertently added to the Facebook group of a beautiful Cotswold village called Broadway. I terrorised the community Facebook group by pretending to be a villager, occasionally posting pleas for help and adding my wit and wisdom, unbeknownst to them, to some of their Facebook posts. I haven't done it for 6 months. I thought the game was up. I thought I had been rumbled and exposed as a non-villager. But time is a patient mistress. Look, it's so cool to be back in Broadway. God, I have missed it. And I mean, look, what to catch up on? There's just a few standard things that are going on the Facebook page. We have got a Wim Hof evening that's going to be happening at the Ligon Arms. But standard practice from the last time that we were in Broadway, we do have a missing dog, which was sad. But thankfully, the owner of the missing dog has been in touch and just said thank you so much to the kind ladies who brought our dog home. It escaped from our garden as it was scared by the hot air balloon display. We've all been personally affected by that. I plumped in with, was it the noise of the hot air balloon or the logic-defying science behind it that spooked your dog? I'd be interested to talk to him. I haven't had any likes or replies just yet, and I know, look, some of you scientists are going to get all excited, you know, it's not logic-defying science, it's hot air that rises into, yeah, alright, I get it, alright, it's just a joke, go back to your parents' basements, alright. Next up, there's the issue with dog mess in the village again, and this lady is fuming. She says, look, I love all animals, but can we please keep the village clean of dog poop? I think that's something we'd all echo. Now, her next part of the message, and I'm not a grammar Nazi by any stretch, but she's misplaced a full stop here, which kind of changes the tone of the message. And she says, the path by Broadway. I think she means Broadway. And there's then put a full stop. Library is covered in it, and little children sometimes enjoy the walk down to the path to see the sheep. Now, I've capitalised on that grammatical error and went, the library is covered in it? What sort of moron throws dog mess at a library? Beggars belief. Sometimes people post things and it's difficult to know whether or not they're actually joking. But this guy I don't think is. He says, "Can anyone take my young cockerel? He's lovely, but I've got neighbours." And I've said, same here. My neighbours got so annoyed with seeing my cockerel through the fence first thing in the morning that they threatened to call the police. I'm not sure they see the joke. I'm not going to explain the joke. The joke is not true, by the way.